Hey guys, ViscoseComb24 here, bringing you a real quick redstone video. Today I'm going to be showing you all this. It is my compacted yet again and current smallest 7x7 vault door in Bedrock Edition. As you can see, it all closes. When I go on over the back side, you can see it looks the exact same as the front. And when I go back on over to the front side and flick the lever again, you can see it also all opens. While the speed and animation are both pretty bad, I'm still happy with how it turned out, because this thing is really small. This beats my previous attempt by one block. I shaved a block off the bottom, and I had actually thought that that was the smallest it could get, because I thought that I would need to have this block under here to get the signal from the middle to both sides. But I was able to fix this by just putting in a slider, and I didn't want the sides to be out of sync, even though that was the end result. So I just set it up so that the inputs for the sides and pretty much the entire door came directly from the slider, so it wouldn't have to be different on both sides, because, you know, this side gets power first before the slider is able to push anything over. And so, yeah, that's how I set up the input. Now, you'll see layout is very complicated, and this is what I used in order to get this size possible, but actually, I guess I should say the sizes. This thing is 13 blocks wide, 13 blocks tall, and 7 blocks deep. So it has a volume of 1,183 blocks. Again, this is the smallest I've ever been able to make, and the layout is pretty weird because of it. So I guess, without further ado, let's get on to the layout. Really quickly before I get onto the layout, though, I just want to clear up some confusion that there might be. I uploaded a video 2 days ago on my 7x7 funnel door, and it looks rather similar to this door. They're pretty much the exact same door design concept, and they also have the exact same height and width. So you might be wondering, Viscose, what's the deal? Why do these doors look so similar, and why are you uploading 2 different videos? Well, a 7x7 funnel door is single-sided, whereas this 7x7 vault door is double-sided. And during the layout explanation part, I explained why this was, or at least why this added more difficulty, and what I did to get around said difficulty. So, in case there was any confusion, that is why, and let's get on to the layout. So now onto the layout. You'll notice it's a lot weirder than pretty much every other layout that I've shown on the channel so far. And I've actually got the 7x7 funnel door layout here just to compare. You'll see that while they look wildly different, they do use pretty much the exact same base ideas. They've got pretty much the exact same base layout as the folded quadruples on the sides of my 12x12 cave door, the compacted 12x12 cave door. And so, because of this, they've got relatively similar extension logic. It's just the way that you have to achieve them with the inputs in the vault door is a lot weirder. So, yeah, I guess I should get into that. The first challenge was that there's this block right here on the funnel door, and I don't have that on the vault. This is something that I've mentioned a lot of times. When it comes to translating a contained slime layout, such as this one, into a double-sided one, it gets a little difficult, because when you have just the funnel door, you have this entire back layer here to work with, whereas when you are working with a vault door, that back layer has to have a flattening piston for the back side. Otherwise, you're going to have a dent in your door. And this flattening piston complicates things. It also has a little bit of the layout back here for a double piston extender on this door. So that made it so that I couldn't use this exact setup here. I used this to sort of simulate piston spitting for the first extension. And when it looks like this sticky piston spat out its blocks, that's not actually what's happening. So first thing that happens when you power this block is that both of these pistons get powered. This one extends, updating that observer, powering that block, and pulsing this sticky piston. It extends, but as we've already established, this piston right here has been powered since the very beginning. So once this sticky piston extends, this one extends underneath it, and by the time our sticky piston tries to retract, it'll be trying to pull down this piston head. And as we all know, piston heads can't be moved, so it's forced to leave behind all its blocks. I had to do something similar here, but the way that I had to go about it was different, because I didn't have this back block here for access. So this is how I fixed it. I put a slider here, and this input doesn't have to be a redstone block necessarily, but it was what I went with in the door because of wiring constraints. Power that, and our piston here gets powered, ready to sort of simulate the piston spitting. Then push this over, and it does what I showed over there, just, you know, a little bit differently. Now we can fold our extender in, then power that, and then do the redstone block storage. And there it is. It's pushed up 4 blocks. Now we can retract that, give that a pulse, unfold our extender, then we have to have this retract as well as that, then pulse this, and slide the piston back into place. The flattening for this thing is a little bit weirder, and this was my solution for it. So as you can see here, let me just really quickly build up the double piston extender. This entire part is taken up by a double piston extender, making it a lot harder to access this thing. I couldn't access it from this side because repulsing this piston would break a few things, and I couldn't access it from this side because pulsing this piston would create unreliability. As you can see, it sometimes leaves its blocks behind, sometimes is able to retract, and it never is able to flatten. So, my solution for this was incorporating the flattening for this piston into the double piston extender itself. So this is what I use for the layout. I'll get into the slider a little bit later, but you can see I have an observer right here pointed into the piston that handles the flattening for the backside. And so the logic goes, pretty much, start off by powering this, then over on this side, turn that on, and you'll see that we've got our double piston extender fully extended. Then for the retraction, first thing you do is turn off that, deactivate that, and while it looks like this thing is just flattened, this block would actually still be in that position, so it will still get stuck down here. Then to flatten the floor here, you can pulse that, and you'll see it's actually flattened our piston here as well, just because that observer detected it. And then to finish off the flattening for the double, pulse that. It looks a little weird, and it really is weird, but that was the solution that I came up with, and it works. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out regardless of the weird solutions that I had to come up with. And I think it actually looks kind of nice from the underside, seeing everything going. There it is. One last thing that I wanted to cover before I wrap up the video is I used a similar method on the quadruples for the extension of the triples. If you know Bedrock Edition, you'll know that a single pulse doesn't work reliably for piston spitting like this. So if I power that, you'll see it'll extend. Try it again, it'll extend. Oh. Wow, it's really disproving my point here. There we are. You can't really tell when it'll work and when it won't. As you can see now, it's reliably not working, but it won't keep doing this. There it is. So you can't really predict what it's going to do, even for demonstrations. So you might be wondering, well then why did I go with it for the extension here? And the way I was able to make it work is using a pretty similar mechanic here that I used in the quad. I had piston heads. So the flattening pistons for these triples are activated first. So you can see they've extended. Then you send in the pulse, and it is forced to leave behind its blocks. The slime grabs onto the blocks there, and then this piston tries to retract those piston heads, but of course piston heads can't be moved, so it just has to leave everything behind. And other than that, I think that's just about all I wanted to showcase for this door. Everything else is pretty standard. I don't think I'm going to be making a tutorial for this at all. This is a really, really bad 7x7 vault door. For starters, animation is ugly. It's very slow. You got stuff in the floor here. If you do want a 7x7 vault door tutorial from me for whatever reason, I made one a little while ago. It's only 2 blocks taller than this design, but it is much faster, has a much cleaner animation. It's also slightly cheaper. It's just got a lot more going for it than this design right here. So yeah, that's just it for this video. I'm ViscosComb24, and I'll see you next time.